Familykanalen. Idag ska vi ta upp något intressant tema. Så jag sätter över till studio.
Yeah, then I want to welcome you here to a new program. My name is Rune Fardal. This is a family channel. We are at the moment in London visiting Sacha Stone in his apartment. Yeah, and we like to hear a little more about. You were the founder of the ITNJ.
Yeah, International Tribunal for Natural Justice.
Yeah, and we like to hear a little more what that actually is. If you can explain,
sure,
a short story of that.
Yes, I will. I think it's important to explain the context for setting up an international tribunal or an international court.
Yeah.
What most people don't realize is that we are not getting justice in the courtroom today. It is not happening. Most of the justice systems, most of the court systems, and the juridical processes, the justice processes, are assisting the commercial arena. They are helping governments to control and manipulate humanity, and they are helping corporations to manipulate humanity. So court systems and justice systems today do not serve humanity, they are serving the dollar, they are serving the money. Corporations. This is the big problem. So we determined years ago to begin to build a international tribunal for natural justice. You need to bring justice back to serve the living men and women of the living soil. And that is what this court is doing.
Okay.
But it's a long process. We took the time. We understand the process. We have judges and barristers and advocates, law commissioners, many of them connected now to the International Tribunal. But we formally established the tribunal in May and June of 2015 on the 800th anniversary of Magna Carta. And then we established the first judicial commission of inquiry in 2018, last year, in Westminster, London. We launched the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into human trafficking and child sex abuse. We launched later this year a second Judicial Commission of Inquiry, and that one is into the weaponization of biosphere. This is to do with the human health and the health of the planet, because we are both under attack. Again, the rogue elements in government are operating with rogue elements in the corporatocracy, in the commercial arena. They are waging war against humanity and waging war against the planet. This is ecocide and this is genocide. The agrochemical industries, the pharmaceutical industries, the petrochemical industries, they are all in a kind of unconscious collusion and conspiracy to destroy the human genome and to destroy the planet. So the Judicial Commission that we begin later this year in June in Asia, it launches, is going head to head with the most powerful entities in the world connected to agrochemical and big pharmaceutical interests.
So this commission is getting testimony from people.
Yes. The point of a judicial commission of inquiry is not to prosecute.
No.
This is not about prosecuting anything or anyone. It is about investigating the facts, getting the evidences, getting the expert testimonies and the expert witnesses, and getting the affidavits of truth. So we galvanize all of this evidence, all of these key witnesses and expert witnesses. This becomes the body of evidence, the body of proof of a given situation, and that's how we're doing it. Then there's a different way of moving into prosecutions and to get the remedy situation. But most people who don't understand law and the process of law, they get very angry because they think, what's the point of a judicial commission of inquiry? Just blah blah, asking questions. No, it's very important that you do this, and it can take months and years. Mostly governments are the ones who get forced into launching some judicial commission, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they are politicized.
Yeah.
And then special interests come in and put their influence against the government. And normally in these kind of commissions of inquiry, normally they end up being whitewashed.
Yeah.
Nothing comes out of them because they become politicized.
Yeah.
Which is why a real judicial commission of inquiry should have nothing to do with government.
Yeah.
And of course we are all told that there is a complete separation of power between government and the justice system. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
They are all politicized.
Yeah.
The appointments are coming from government. How can they be separate?
Yeah.
All of the favors are coming together.
Yeah.
This is conspiracy by definition.
Yeah.
So if you can show to me one single justice system that is completely separate from government, I will be the happiest man in the world. I have not seen it. That is what the ITNJ is.
We have the same, the four powers in Norway, the court system, the parliament, the government, and they are into it.
They are completely in bed together, all of them, correct. And they take care of each other, they protect each other, they defend each other, they prosecute on behalf of one another, they penalize humanity on behalf of one another, and they enrich themselves. And they empower themselves. That's correct.
That is much the same we also see in Norway, probably all the other countries in Europe and everywhere, where power is misused and people make up these, or power make up these invisible networks. They know each other, they talk to each other. On the paper it look nice, they are separate, but behind the scene there's something going on that show in the process. If you go court, like I'm familiar with in Norway, I see many courts there, you end up wrong. There is something wrong going on.
Because the court systems have become weaponized. They are weaponized against the living men and women of the living soil. Why do I use this expression? Because the living men and women of the living soul is the natural human. The human that is connected to the earth, that have a relationship with the earth and with God. And nothing comes between that relationship. And then you have the Catholic Church comes in 2000 years ago and begins to stand between humanity and their God and to take away the power. And then they dream up this nonsense about the divine right to rule. And that all of these kings and popes come in pretending that they are the ones appointed by God on behalf of us. Again, excuse my language, bullshit. No, there is no divine right to rule. No, the Pope of Rome is a human being, highly corrupted for many centuries now. The average king and queen, highly corrupted individual, highly compromised as well. But it is time now for humanity to stand up on its legs. Stand up and become grown up. Come of age. And to step into this flame of truth and flame of affirmation and to take back the power to the living men and women of the living soil, away from these fictions. A government is, by definition, a criminal organization that is well organized. That is what all government is. I can prove it out forensically. I can prove it out under a laboratory microscope practically. All government is organized crime that is successful, the most successful mafia. And if anybody doesn't understand that, then they are what we say drinking the Kool-Aid. Fast asleep at the wheel. All governments are controlling humanity. They are controlling working with centralized banking mechanisms to use all of the time and effort and energy of human beings and to tax them and penalize them and steal the money. And empower the government more and more and disempower the living men and women more and more. That is all that government does, and you can see this over history every time. It leads ultimately to complete tyranny. And right now in the 21st century we are at the point of complete tyranny, especially, my friend, in your part of the world. If you don't mind me saying, in Norway, Scandinavia, so-called egalitarian open society, I don't think so. I think incredibly closed society. Everybody walking along in a straight line, doing exactly what the government says, exactly what the police are saying. We, all of us, international community, watching the Polish ambassador in Norway a few weeks ago being bullied by idiot policemen like something come out of a Walt Disney film, the police. Think they have all the power. They have no understanding of law. The police in Norway. They are thugs in costume. And they are unlawful, they are illegal, they are immoral, they are unethical. But why the Norwegian people put up with this? Why the Scandinavian people? They just fall back and do whatever the so-called authority tell them. This is the most shocking thing of all. Because the spirit of the people in Scandinavia is so powerful, so beautiful, so good, so decent. And yet you have more pedophile rings, human trafficking, blood sacrifice coming through your country than anywhere else in Europe. And nobody knows about it.
No, the mainstream media in Norway doesn't talk about things like that at all. And Norway is actually, there was done scientific studies on that. Only North Korea is more conform than Norway.
Than Norway.
And the media is feeding us a one-way stream of information. And we see now other media is coming up challenging this view. And of course they are attacked by the mainstream because there's somebody trying to make a hole on this balloon we're actually living in.
I would call Norway egalitarian Marxism. It is very elegant. It's very it appears to be liberal intellectual, but it is pure Fabian socialist Marxism. And the people do exactly what the authority wants them to do. So the mind control programming is almost perfect. And this is connected to the wealth. This is connected to the oil fund. This is connected to the fact that the average Norwegian doesn't want. Why? Because they're comfortable. So why would they rock the boat?
And in Norway they have this strange respect for authority.
Well, it's a perversity. It's a perversion of the human spirit. And this is something that the so-called liberal intellectuals should seriously reflect back to themselves and think about. It is a perversity of the human spirit. And they, the liberal intellectual echelon, are the ones most responsible for maintaining this. They are the ones standing closer to the gates of hell. This is an extraordinary thing to say, but I absolutely mean it. I'm having this kind of argument with liberal intellectuals in New York, in California, all around the world. They are the ones standing in the way of human emancipation right now because they have comfort. They control their own wealth, they have their own income, they own their own house, they have their pension schemes, they have their savings accounts, they are comfortable. They are the echelon that has come out of 2,000 years of human slavery through the Roman Catholic franchise, essentially. Over the last 2,000 years, the people who are most sitting on top of the pile are the ones who are the liberal intellectual Westerners. And they are the problem now standing between the uprising of humanity. You are seeing this in the United States with Donald Trump. So nobody can see this man coming into power because the liberal intellectuals in East Coast and West Coast, Washington and Hollywood, they are thinking they control America. No. The common heart of humanity in Midwest America, that was the flame that come up.
Suddenly
and bring him into power.
People rise up.
People rise
suddenly up. Somebody else.
Bravo. And the same thing is about to happen in Europe at a monstrous level. With the yellow vest, with the Brexit, this is just the tip of the spear. But even I believe in Norway, my brothers and sisters in Norway also, there is some awakening on the street. They are beginning to get angry. This is healthy. This is the fire of humanity. Please God, I pray to the living God that this flame sees the heart of the Norwegians, the Scandinavians. Because when it happened there in Scandinavia and the old Viking spirit, the old warrior spirit come back into the people there and throw the devil off the back, the globalist Marxist devil throw it off the back, I think we begin to have emancipation now of the whole of Europe when it comes into Scandinavia.
We see that anger many places in Norway and in regarding different subjects, that people are fed up of the mainstream media, other media, alternative media coming up, and a lot of people looking that way because suddenly they get some other kind of information that this mainstream media is feeding them.
That's it.
Suddenly you get reality, not fiction, because a lot of that is fiction, and it's clear that people with power control mainstream media.
That's always been the way. This is the old Jesuit tradition. The Jesuitical tradition was always to control the propaganda and control the intelligence infrastructure. We've seen this play out for many, many hundreds of years. But the good signs we are seeing, even in the last few days in the United States, with the exoneration of Trump from the Mueller report, this is a classic example that for nearly 3 years, God knows how many tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars are spent on some grotesque investigation against the President of the United States for collusion with the Russians. All of us knew this was nonsense. Nearly 3 years later, and the mainstream media in the United States, the most powerful media machine on earth, CNN, are the ones who are leading this deception for nearly 3 years. Now, overnight, the day after this publishing of the report, they lose 20% ratings. Boom! This is an example. Now it will be 50%, 70%. I think in 18 months, 2 years' time, I think CNN will not exist. I think by the end of next year, this mainstream media machinery will become dismantled under its own weight of bullshit and deception. Because right now, it cannot go any further into deception. It is already maxed out. And this is a healthy thing. Very healthy. But you are right to talk about this. Because only when we take down this so-called mainstream media machine is when we can begin to emerge from the cloak of deception that has been for many, many generations holding a humanity in a state of sleep.
It's from my experience from Norway, it's like when you give the people food and show, they are happy. There are not so many who really look over this manipulation sort of and ask the critical question, because the moment in Norway there's a sort of fear culture. If you step outside the line, you are attacked right away. If you put your nose out and say something new or critical to the ruling system, you are given labels of everything from crazy to whatever. And it's a sort of keeping the people in the herd, you know?
It's always the way. It happened under the Caesars. It happened under Kublai Khan and Genghis Khan. It happened under the Ottoman Empire. It happened under every system or civilizational complex that is based on false power, pyramid power. So this is natural, that we are living in a time where even they are beginning to try to control how we think. Thought police. It's now a crime to speak about something or think about something. This is a symptomatic of an insane civilization. But that is also symptomatic of the death of that civilization, the end game. This is good. Let them play their blah blah nonsense. The spirit of humanity that is rising is where the true power exists. The flame of pure truth, of natural justice, this is emerging anyway. We don't even have to engineer the outcome. It is coming in naturally. So this is why we call it natural justice.
And I saw in a newspaper a short time ago one of the former Norwegian prime ministers, Gro Harlem Brundtland. She's now in the United Nations, some health minister or something there. But she went out in one of the biggest newspapers in Norway and said that we are losing control of what people shall think. And that was in the discussion of alternative media coming up.
Well, it is not so terrifying that this idiot prime minister say this.
No.
It is terrifying that she actually believe it. That is what is terrifying.
And that some people actually don't.
They don't even understand. They cannot hear themselves in a situation like this. But she is the perfect example of a modern 21st century politician or diplomat. That they have no capacity for true critical thinking themselves. They are the product also of Fabian Marxism playing out in the academic echelon. And they are spitting out this kind of politician. The European Parliament is filled with this kind of brain-dead idiocy. Laughable. But this breed of human being will not last for too long. It is a phenomenon. We should study them like a zoologist studies them.
You can see the rising against this in Brexit here in England, for example. Today they have this election now, this voting in Parliament, and you see much of the same in the former Eastern European country. they don't accept this sort of invasion of African cultures and things like that. They say no to Europe, the European Union.
Well, that's
either side in our country.
That's correct. I know. I'm dealing right now with some of the leaders in that part of the world, in West Africa. We've had them even in here in the last few weeks, and we are directly involved, the International Tribunal, with helping to orchestrate some of the high diplomatic the dialogue going on between some of the let's say the European dependencies in Africa, the old colonial interests, and they wish to get out of the control of the military bases. They want those countries out, especially France. They want them off their soil. Get out. Take your military bases and get out. You have no business being in Africa any longer after all of this time. And the International Criminal Court, the ICC, unfortunately has also become weaponized. Now we are observing how the ICC has been used mostly by these old colonial interests. They are using their power of the ICC to arrest and seize good African leaders, criminalize them, turn them into the bad guys, take them to The Hague, lock them up and put them on show trial, when actually those are the good leaders. They just wanted the French and the Belgians and the Dutch and to get out. But the ICC has been weaponized and is protecting and preserving the resources of the old white imperial colonialists. So this is where we are at on the multilateral stage, the international stage as far as law is concerned. There is no law process. The ICJ and the ICC have become weaponized. The International Court of Human Rights, all of these entities are subject to the influences of very powerful special interests and very powerful political interests. So we are not seeing a justice emerge. We are not seeing remedy emerge. We are seeing the corporation and the government win time and time again. But we have to recognize, and I say this directly to the liberal intellectuals, you must recognize that government and corporation is the same thing. A government is a corporation. It is a fiction. And it is bolstered and empowered by the stolen wealth through taxation of the citizens. Paying income tax is a crime. Nobody should be paying income tax any longer. Nobody should be paying income tax to Caesar, a tribute to Caesar. This should have died 2,000 years ago. Okay? It's a nonsense. Somehow this government fiction, criminal construct come into our lives. They create wars and they terrorize us. We are suffering trauma from these wars. And when we are in a state of trauma, they tell us we have the solution. They give us the solution. But we need to tax you. We need to rebuild the world after the war. You need to contribute. And they bullshit us and we begin to give money. And the next thing it becomes a statute that we have to pay this, and then another statute, another taxation, more stealth taxing, until we are only working to support government.
But because that is actually what many people are doing now, and they stop living, sort of.
Well, we are an unconscious civilization. You can describe us as a perfectly unconscious civilization, where 90%, possibly 98% of humanity are so drunk on snake oil, they have already fallen fast asleep. They are simply acting as functionaries of time and motion. And they go to work, they do some godless job, they take the money from this, they pay it to the government, they pay it in stealth taxes, and they have just enough at the end to maybe go on a holiday for 2 weeks. That's it. And they believe this is acceptable. And the students go to university, they come out with loan they can never pay back. We are in an insane cycle where we are devouring, eating ourselves into the future. So the debt that we carry, the trillions of debt that we carry into the future, will never be paid. It'll only become more and more compounded. So at what point are we going to individually say, I'm not interested, I'm stepping out of this game, I'm not participating? You see, when we do this, we have the power, we take the power. The government does not control the human being, only if you think it does. But if you understand law, if you understand natural justice, and even if you understand statutory law, and you understand UCC, Uniform Commercial Code, you can also reverse engineer so much of this evil by governments.
Yeah.
And you can step outside of the fiction yourself. Most people don't know that they are born, they are registered, the registration takes you, the living soul, away from the land, and you are now owned and controlled as a fiction. And you are connected now to the state or to the crown. They own you. Even your parents have no power over you. Only the crown and the state. Everything that you register, you are offering up to Rex, to Regus, Rexus, the king. You are giving yourself away. You are giving your children away. Your land, your farm, your house, your bicycle, your motor car. Everything that you register, you are offering to the state and the crown and signing it. Why are you doing this? Think about what you are doing. Oh, I have to, by law. No, you do not by law. By natural law, you should not sign away your children. That is a breach of natural law. You should not sign away your home, your farm, your land. You should sign away nothing. You should only pass on to the living flesh that which is yours. So again, when people wake up to the fact that they themselves are the ones who are signing over their children, their home, their land, to the crown, the fiction, and stop doing it. When we have that kind of uprising, I'm not talking about wearing a yellow vest and running out into the street and throwing a Molotov cocktail. That's great. I also agree with that, incidentally. When you are faced with tyranny, absolutely. Pick up your yellow vest or red vest and go and defend your honor. Absolutely. This is the right action. This is absolutely right action. And if somebody sprays something in your face, spray it back in their face if you get a chance. Absolutely. This is defending yourself and your basic dignity. You should never go looking for a fight. You should never go and do this. Asian provocateurs, Asian saboteurs, this is wrong action. But if you are defending yourself on the ground, absolutely, you should be using these actions. But the point is this, we are doing it to ourselves. We are not victims. We have become a culture of victimization, a civilization of victimhood, but we are not in truth victims. We are the ones sacrificing ourselves or offering ourselves up for sacrifice. Our time, our motion, our money, our children, our land.
We see this actually in the Norwegian childcare system, barnevernet. It's been a famous word now. Most of Europe know barnevernet. And that one, and quisling, that's another word from Nazi World War II. These two words is coming from Norway, and they are actually connected somehow, because the childcare system, barnevernet, they are, just like you say, they can go into any family for no reason whatsoever, take the children out and blame the mother for having too thick bread, or the children have a hole in the pants, or stupid reason. You know, there are very few cases where there are really sexual assault, real violence, narcotics, psychiatric problems. That's a few percent.
These thugs in costume are not police. They are criminals acting as part of a crime syndicate. So when people, again, wake up themselves, and that is you and your brother and sister and mother and father and children, you need to wake up. The living men and women of the living soil need to wake up and stop being so chicken shit. Excuse the language, but I don't know what else language to use.
They are afraid.
They are chicken shit. They are afraid of their own shadow. This is undignified. This is not the human spirit. Remember who you are. Step into that flame. Take your power. Step up. Walk out of your front door and challenge the devil on your doorstep. Do not be afraid, ever. When there is a knock at the door, open the door and face the devil, and then walk out. Go to the technocrat. Go to the bureaucrat. Go to the officials. Go to the healthcare services. Go to the childcare services. Go to the local parliament. Go to the federal government and take these devils on their own doorstep. That is where you take the fight to them. You don't wait for them to come for you, because they will come for you in the end. In the end, they will come for everybody. So better now, we get angry and we go to them and say enough. Khalas, enough is enough. No more. This is the only way it's going to change. The fire of humanity must awaken. It must awaken.
I think that is, from my own experience in Norway, that is something is about to happen. It's actually happening now. More and more people, I feel, are getting angry.
Good.
And they try to get their frustration out in social media or newspaper or wherever. And there is a rising. And then we see the power, the elite, using different dirty tricks to discriminate or discredit.
This is always going to happen.
It's the same story.
Rune, we can always look at the problems. The problems are never going to change. Again, study the Rome under the Caesars. Study every single civilization. You know, the Victorians, the British Empire, they always use dirty tricks. For God's sake, power tries to protect power. That's what it does. It's not the equation. The equation is right action and pure truth. And you control that. I control that. Nobody else control right action and pure truth. This is me. That is who and what I am. And I am the one to take that fire to them. And to end this victimization. So enough of us are self-organizing. We can do it with intelligence. We don't need to do it with bricks and stones. Yeah, we can do it with intelligence. This is what we are doing with the natural justice, with the International Tribunal. We are the ones who are creating the official commission on trafficking, pedophilia, ritual sacrifice of innocence, health care, weaponization of the biosphere. We are self-organizing, but we are also bringing together many powerful people on the commission. So we have former heads of intelligence agencies, former chief of police, former political leaders, former religious leaders. Are part of the commission that we are setting up. And this is the way you do it. You bring grassroots, good grassroots and good leadership together. You self-organize, you change the pattern. Don't ask for permission.
No.
Everybody always waiting to ask permission. No. Right action is right action. And you don't need some goddamn government to tell you what you can do, what you cannot do. What is right action and wrong action. No. Only the living man and the living woman and of the living soil can determine right action and pure truth.
So now you have explained a little about what ITNJ working with. And this organization is spread out all over the world.
Yes, natural justice is what needs to now emerge as the new system. If we are looking for a system of law, it needs to correspond and conform to natural law, and which is
how do you?
I was just going to go into this.
What is actually natural?
I'm going to go into that now. I was going to explain it. So natural justice issues from natural law. Natural law is very, very simple to understand. You can break it down to its most simple exemplar, which is that all living souls should be able to move around the surface of the earth unmolested, as long as they are causing no harm or loss or injury to another living soul. And that's the premise or the basis of natural law. You don't need to dream up millions of rules and regulations and statutes and codes and ordinances. This is all nonsense. Regulations and ordinances and codes and statutes are only there to protect fictions and to protect governments and to protect corporations, meaning to say fictions, against the living souls. And we need to see this. As a civilization, we need to see this and then step away from statutory law. All courts are conducted today on the premise of statutory law. And a statute is a code or an ordinance that is dreamt up by a bureaucrat. Occasionally it's ratified by law experts. But mainly nowadays we are being controlled and contained, exploited and manipulated by statutory infringement. And these are regulations made up by non-elected officials, bureaucrats and technocrats. So this is how we are allowing the banality of our unconscious civilization to be the creature that determines the outcome. This is insane.
Right. And that's where you have these ITNJ commissioners placed around. People with connections.
Yes,
and
all around the world.
All around the world.
All around the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone can look at this on the websites. There are a few websites there connected to the court. We are recognized by governments and by intelligence agencies variously. We will increasingly become more and more of a presence. We are not trying to create a centralized anything, but we are trying to restore rule of law and then to invite people of the world to step into an understanding of natural law and natural justice and step away from the fictitious aspect of law that has become now a great problem for us to evolve into a higher consciousness. It's making it impossible, frankly. How can we become more enlightened or more evolved if we have created hundreds of millions of rules, statutes that mean we cannot even walk out our front door and cross the road without breaking some ordinance. We cannot eat the food we want. We cannot grow the food we want. We cannot heal ourselves from being poisoned by the pharmaceutical industry. We cannot speak our mind. We cannot think about certain things. So how the devil are we supposed to evolve if we have strapped ourselves up by millions of statutory regulations?
And many people accept this. It has been coming slowly, all of it coming slowly. So if you try to step out of this now and say, hello, I'm asking a critical question here, what's going on? Then you're looked upon as lunatic.
Yeah, but
conspiracy.
Well, I recommend that you go back to the tradition of Rumi or Khalil Gibran, who wrote The Madman, and understand that when you become the joker, you become the madman or the lunatic, you now know that you are engaging sanity, and you are the one stepping outside of the civilizational dream spell. This is a healthy process. So the more of us that we can become the madman, the better in that sense.
Okay, so going on now, what's the next step? Waking people up, actually?
No, I'm not interested in waking people up. I'm interested in right action and pure truth and manifesting it. So we do what we do. I'm not out there trying to educate anybody and try to proselytize or prognosticate or give the script to anybody. I'm old and wise enough to know that this does not change anything. I'm putting personally my time and energy, and the court and the commissioners and the trustees and the advocates in our organization. We are identifying key areas of focus, and then we are going after them. Like I said to you earlier, weaponization of healthcare and the biosphere. This is a major concern. Things like 5G, implementation of 5G, which is a criminal and very evil superstructure and technology. This is something most people don't understand what it is and why it is being advanced at such an incredible speed. $20 trillion industry rolling out without a single health check, and we know already that the existing electromagnetic frequencies that we are putting out are causing almost every illness in the world, and we're now about to go into a quantum speed of 5G, which will be 1,000 times worse than what we're going through right now. So the cellular DNA and molecular cellular DNA in our bodies is under threat. The microbial DNA is going to be destroyed, and 99% of our DNA is microbial DNA, non-human DNA, junk DNA. So there are health implications that are so unbelievable that will make 5G look like the worst Holocaust, the worst extinction event ever conceived. And the truth of the matter is that it appears to have been planned and engineered by some very dark occultic interests. And the way it is being advanced so quickly into the mainframe is a demonstration of how completely unconscious our civilization is. I just released a film this week which thankfully is going very viral, called 5G Apocalypse, the extinction event. And inside that film, which is a full-length film, I have senators, congressmen, world-leading scientists, weapon development experts, molecular biologists, blood microscopists, leading activists, all of them speaking about the truth of this subject. But I'm talking about that because it's a classic example of how if you are going to educate people, you can put some information out there, but then people have to see it themselves and step up and make the change in their own jurisdiction. I cannot affect the bureaucrat in Scandinavia.
No.
It's never going to happen.
So people need a wake-up call. Also, they need the information and take the change to themselves, actually. You can't push it.
That's why I said it comes down to getting up and walking out your front door.
Yeah.
Most people, when they hear bang, bang, bang on the door, they go like this, they hide. They hide. If they're not expecting somebody, who is it?
Yeah.
What have I done? They're coming to get me. This is the natural reflex. This is disgusting.
Fear.
So undignified. Think about it. How undignified for human beings to be afraid of a knock on their own door.
Yeah.
You should walk up to that door, you should open it, and you should face the devil, whatever it is. And you should walk out there and demand that this government, this creature, get out of your life, get out of your face.
Okay, so the next report is expected later this year?
Later this year. I'm not in the court myself. I have no power. I founded the court. I am involved in counseling survivors and victims. I'm involved in research and with the commission report I will be involved. But the court itself make the decisions about when it release the commission report. I think it will announce this in the third quarter of this year. I think so.
Okay, then we have heard Sacha Stone here explain a little about ITNJ and what they work with, and we look forward to this report.
Very good.
And forward to expand the network of commissioners and people working for.
Well, the commission is very grateful that you are being appointed as a commissioner to the human trafficking and child sex abuse. We know that you have done a great deal of work in investigating this and researching this in Scandinavia. We are also in communication, of course, with other people, some of them very powerful in your part of the world, and we look forward to having more of an expert presence on this judicial commission coming from Scandinavia. So thank you, Rune, very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, then we say thank you here from London today, and I'm sure we haven't heard the last from either Sacha or ITNJ, so we look forward to the new report and the work that's going on to make it a better world. Actually.
Bravo to that.
Bravo to that. Okay, thank you.